Hola, fabulosos humanos y bienvenidos de nuevo a All Right. Did everybody get that? Because honestly, I forgot what I've already translated, and I'm cheating a little bit over here as well. But we have turned into a household that is practicing their Spanish ever since purchasing the tickets to Costa Rica. So what? That's been like 24 hours. So we have been practicing for that time. And what that is looking like is nosotros practicamos or necesitamos practicar mucho antes de viaje al Costa Rica. Sí. Vale? Claro que sí. Um, yes, lots of practice. But anyways, I was in a groovy mood, and then it took me about 20 minutes to download the new Zoom, and it was then hiding in my computer, and it kept on wanting me to install and reinstall and throw away, and I'm a little pissy now because I had plenty of time to record without going into my daughter's wake up nap time, and now I'm gonna just let that kid sleep until I'm done and hope that won't interfere with putting her back to bed at bedtime. So bear with me. um, but today's topic just came at me pretty hard today. And I'm sure y'all have experienced it. Have you ever just been driving down the highway, enjoying the scenery? I had just had a fabulous conversation with my mother and on the phone, and all of a sudden, whack, just hit over the head with a million crazy little monkeys telling me, yelling at me, just saying the meanest things, and things like you're already failing, you're doing this wrong, Zena's not enjoying this, no one's enjoying this, you're fill in the blank, just all poor form in my in my opinion. And it just comes out of nowhere, it just comes out of nowhere, this thing. And this thing is called fear, and that is the topic today. And luckily, this is one thing that my sponsor has just drilled into my head, and it is put the pen to paper when it comes to fear. Because fear is so it's toxic, yet it is also a friend. And so that is why you sometimes will hear, or I often say, to befriend your fear. And luckily, the tool that I when I got home, I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about fear. I need to get it out of me, um, because it hurts. It just hurts. And so I gave myself 10 minutes to write out all of my fears that I'm was currently holding. So I'm just gonna read through those, and yeah, here we go. I'm not gonna cry. So fear that it's all fear that dot 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 basically. Fear that I am making a huge mistake with launching this platform. Fear that all mama all right is not in alignment with my purpose. Fear that I will never know what my purpose is. Fear that I am wrong for thinking and feeling this is actually my purpose. Fear that I am not enough and will never be enough to the world. Fear that I will disappoint my family for doing this type of job. Fear that my family thinks I'm a joke for thinking this is a job. Fear that I am not doing this right. Fear that I failed before even really starting. Fear that I will find a way to self sabotage. Fear that my husband will blame me for financial security, seeing as I do not have an income. Fear that Zena will be affected in a negative way by all the social media exposure. Fear that I am a horrible, selfish, and unfit mother. Fear that I will always be bulimic and never feel a sense of freedom from food. You get the point about fear that, so I'm going to stop saying that part. But one more time. Um, Fear that Zena will inherit an eating disorder genetically and from watching my behaviors. Zena will pass away before her time and I will have something to do with it. Accidentally drop her from not watching her closely enough, choking. And no, I'm not crying. I will drink again, that my friends and family will abandon me. I will never achieve my dreams of creating a platform for women and mamas to come together, support each other, and thrive in this male dominated world. That I am a fraud and y'all will see it. I will take on too much and break without bending. That I made a huge mistake, should get my whole job back. Knock, knock, knock. Hello. And last but certainly not least, fear that I am all alone. And that is what came up in about 10 minutes. And what I've learned to do with fear is, again, to befriend them. Having fears it's completely normal. It fears are completely normal. They're healthy. It's part of life. It's what humans experience. But the most important thing is not to shove them down, not to bury them, not to ignore them, but to ultimately embrace them with kindness and compassion and all the uncomfortableness. That's what you need to do with fears. Fears, it's basically like, imagine, I use this quite often. Imagine pushing a beach ball, holding it down under the water for years. Imagine years and years and years. Like because a lot of fears stem from when you're a child. So from a childhood trauma, like me, the fear of gaining weight and then not being lovable. So holding that just underneath the water for years, which I completely did. And then, so when I finally let go of that fear and open to talk about it, it went really high. That ball it went really high. I mean, it used to be a fun game that you would play in the water, but not when you hold it down and then it smacks you in the face. And then bam, you have a bloody nose. There's blood in the water. Now there's sharks everywhere. The sharks are going to get you and they're going to eat you. Bam, another fear that I have to write on my list. No, I'll leave the fear of sharks to my brother, who has a terrifying fear of sharks. Yes. So just so approaching those fears and giving that little human that is screaming, that little child inside you, they're the ones that need the hug, that need the embrace, that need someone just to say, I hear you. I am coming as your wiser self. You are safe. You are held. We are one. And once you are able to acknowledge all of that, release. And those fears are going to come back. They're going to come back. Either the exact same fears or slightly different, but that's why it's a continual practice. It's just something that we as humans get to learn from and grow through. And it's terrifying. But the most I truly believe that if I didn't have fear going into this venture, that I would, I don't think, be as passionate for it and be willing to take the risks. Because at this point, I feel like I have nothing to lose. I feel like I can only put my entire self into this, fearful self and all, knowing that I will be shown truth in some of the fear or completely false fears that they're just, they're not real. Um so I don't think I've told everybody, but my husband is a psychotherapist, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it. And honestly, a lot of my learnings and a huge part of my growth has been from his teachings and his wisdom. Um, I was with him when he was getting licensed to open his private practice, and now he has a full, fun, thriving practice, and he loves his work. It is, and I want that. I mean, he was one of my driving visions for what type of work I want to see myself in. He, if he's ever having a lousy day, like in the beginning, things are just off. His what he says to me every time is, "Oh, I just can't wait to work. Just can't wait to go to work." And when I was still working, I was the complete opposite. Like, "Oh my God, I have to go to work." Um, and besides the people that I love, I have to go to work. So it's such so it's been just such it's been truly a gift, and along with challenges, but I think we've been very we've learned how to take off therapy hats, and or he takes off his therapist hat when he talks to me, or if he wants to keep it on and talk to me, he lets me know, and doesn't charge me, which is always nice, always a plus. And what he says is that fear, and I'm what he says is that fear is like an overprotective frenemy. We all have those friends that we're like, are you really a friend? Or I kind of hate you, but I love you too? Question mark. That they simply want to keep you safe. That's it. They don't care about your dreams, your goals, your visions for a better self. They want you safe in the present right now, in the familiar at all costs. Costs. Risks, absolutely not. Believing that you can do something that you haven't done before, absolutely not. And fear, they're liars. They're complete liars. Fear lies to you constantly. This frenemy that you have is a liar, liar, pants freaking on fire, hanging from all the telephone wires in the world. Oh, and it's just the only thing you should be listening to when it comes to you wanting to take the risk, take the leap, take the fall, is your gut. I truly believe in your gut, because there are distinct times in my life where I didn't believe in my gut, and it led to more fear, and it led to, I don't want to say regrets, but a couple examples. In my gut, I knew not to go to college with a boyfriend. In my gut. What did I do? Out of fear of not finding anything better, being alone, mainly being alone, because this person is great. Um, and what did I do? I stayed with the person until, like, through junior year, until I was incredibly in my disease, and he ended things with me when he was visiting me in Spain, living with his best friend. It was chaos. Another gut. when I went to Kansas, it's one of those things where I cannot. Those were the 4 worst years of my life. There, I said it. One thing I hope no parents out there say to their children is get ready for the best years of your life. You're going to make the best friends. You're going to learn the most. You're going to grow the most. Blah, 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 blah. I originally heard this on one of, again, Glennon's episodes, and it just resonated so well with me because my parents never forced me to go anywhere, but I thought and I feared that I would disappoint them if I went and somewhere close to home or in California and didn't experience, places out of the state. And even after that first year, I was like, my gut was screaming, get home, get home. You no, this is not good. And I allowed that overprotective friend to keep me there out of complete fear. And this just went back to my initial gut. I you know, I just didn't listen out of fear, out of fear. And oh, the examples could go on and on. Other relationships, moving to the Caribbean was one of them. Not only my gut and my family was like, yeah, crazy, or whatever word is appropriate. Just you nincompoop. Anyways, yes. So my hope is that, yeah, your gut is your best friend. Your fear is your lying, overprotective frenemy. And that fear is normal to have. We all have them. My hope is that next time the monkeys in your brain are going bananas and they're trying to grab that steering wheel as you're just enjoying the view while driving, remember to breathe. Befriend that fear with compassion, kindness, and physically sometimes wrapping your arms around you while you're driving, because that's not safe. But any way you can release it. Put that pen to paper. Honestly, writing out these fears, getting those tears out, I feel better. And besides the Zoom not behaving at the beginning of this, I'm feeling love, I'm feeling light. And I have this handy dandy, my Komuso. Have you guys seen this? I think I've pointed it out before, but it's a very awesome breathing jewelry, I guess you can say. It is pretty eye-catching. But you take a deep breath in through your nose, and then release through the whistle. No, that was not they, if you're just listening to this. But yeah, just be so kind. And I love you all. Thanks again for listening. Always here to bounce fears off each other. Hey, give me another 10 minutes and I will be able to come up with another 22, 23 that I came up with. And for now, this mama is signing off. All righty, y'all.